Jeff Holcomb, Party Republican Chairman of Chattanooga County. We need to teach our children responsibility. When you have to be at school, you need to be at school, and when you want to protest, do it at recess. That Republican statement typifies the loss of character in the American mind, the fading of the American dream into becoming a people subservient, a people compliant, a people with systems, a people with safety. At every turn, there is a minder, there is a note taker, there is a bean counter who will double check you, make sure that you're in proper compliance. And the system, as Vladimir Bukovsky relates in his book about his time in the Gulag, the system operates under threat more than under actual enforcement. It operates on fear. Now, we have people who want to make us live in fear. That would be terrorist organizations, very loose-knit groups of people who are perhaps of the Muslim persuasion. They are happy to commit mayhem so that we might live in fear and know who God is, right? That is one of the arguments of terrorism, to make us know who God is. Their God, of course, or the God of fear. Fear is its own deity and has many worshipers around the world, thanks to the elevation of that particular being, if you will, by very angry and very smart terrorist groups. Also, fear is something that comes, the idea of injecting fear upon others also comes from men, mostly men, who are set to cause a school massacre, right? The young men who have planned to massacre, whether from a hotel room with its foot-thick glass windows that somehow they can knock out with their elbows, or young men who have armed themselves with a family rifle and are going to shoot up a kindergarten or shoot up a high school, maybe where they at one time enrolled, or maybe where they are currently enrolled. There is a desire for fear, right? Because the opposite of love is not hate, it's power. The opposite of love is not hate, it is power. And so these young men and these cadres of Muslim advancement operate in the world of power. If we have power, we are great. We hate you, and so we're going to make sure that we can wreak havoc and spill your blood in your school, in your restaurant, in your theater, at your rock concert venue. We are going to destroy you because you are wicked and evil. You are infidel to our way of thinking, and your life is forfeit. So Jeff Holcomb, who is the Republican Party chairman in Chattanooga County, just south of the border, is right. He's reflecting the modern ethic, the ethic of the culture in senescence, right? The culture in decline, the culture which, because we're not having enough babies, we're destroying them in utero. We are becoming a gray population, and much of our interest, much of our capitalism, much of our real estate market is given over to building senior citizen centers for extended care, for healthy living among our gray war heroes, right? Our retired bus drivers, our former school teachers who are now getting their state stipend in retirement. All of these people who are now gray and wrinkled, they fill these nursing homes, and that is our concern, is how to make that profitable, right? How to make their stay there comfortable, or at least not too uncomfortable. That is the attention of the market, the graying market. We're looking now not at creating new things, new and exciting ventures, new businesses, new platforms. That's not what we're really concerned about anymore. It is the maintenance of the sick and the old. That is what we are about, and that is, the shift in the marketplace to becoming a gray society rather than a young society full of children scampering everywhere. That is one that reduces the capital value of that society. That society is less valuable because innovation is no longer toward things that create new wealth, new beings, new enterprises, new services, new industries. That's not the direction anymore. It is in the direction of caring for the elderly, making their state comfortable and making a profit doing it. Right, that is where the marketplace has turned in this country. Certainly in Europe, it's happened. In the Soviet Union, which destroys half of its boys and girls in utero, the former Soviet Union. There also there's an inward-looking, a not fearsome perhaps, but fearful. Terrorists are fearsome. We are fearful. Right? They are projecting it. We are reacting, and we are in fear. And my goal here at Nooganomics Radio at 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4 is to explore local economy, the free market, and hopefully to have you out of the way of danger and make your spirit just a bit more optimistic. Because even though I have the bleakest analysis of any writer in Chattanooga, there's no writer in Chattanooga that has a bleaker perspective. Among them all, I would say that I am the one who is the most optimistic. You could say that I have a post-millennial eschatology, which is to say a very positive view of the future and the hand of God's providence on mankind, and an overarching analysis that says that mankind's position is increasingly good. It is increasingly improving. It is always improving. There are some setbacks, of course, and we are in a receding time right now, but generally, in the United States, but generally there's great progress that we can see in humankind, in the creation of advantages, the creation of technology, services, ministries, medical solutions, and much in the way of easier communications. Look at the internet, the breaking down of old cartels, old centralized systems with their elites on top, right? Whether it's the billboard industry, the taxi industry, the housing industry, the motel, hotel industry, you name it, the newspaper industry. In every one of them, there are challenges that are coming from the internet, and so we have these diversifications that are to our benefit, and we are going to be richer for it. Look at there is a picture. This my radio station has a picture of this positive growth in humankind. And it's in a plastic bag. Yeah, it's still there. It's a plastic bag by the doorway of our studio here in Chattanooga. And in that plastic bag is a cell phone that was left by a homeless man. Now, to me, that's just a picture of how wealthy we are. That cell phone that was forgotten by a homeless man who was here with a drunk compatriot to collect Globetrotter tickets that he won for free from Sam Jordan. He forgot his phone. And the other thing is that as we were sitting there with Mike Wilson, our general sales manager, I said, Mike was just coming in his car, and I was dealing with these two men who were here to claim their tickets for the Globetrotters. And I said, please don't leave your phone. Please don't forget. And Mike Wilson is there to confirm that I actually said that. Okay, I have proof. And so, the man actually left it. He left it in the parking lot. I have a gravel parking lot here at Nooganomics Radio, and I said, I told him. And now the question is, am I going to take the time after the show to go down to the trees behind Riley's Liquors here in Hickson, where I think he may have a secret place where he has his bedroll and his boxes and his paper bags or his plastic bag to take him his valuable property. Well, here you have a man who's a poor man, a homeless man, and he has a device that is so common that he forgot he had it. I mean, he may have a better one, right? He may have a better one, just forgot this one or just abandoned it, one or the other. But this happenstance act of forgetfulness that one day is a picture of how wealthy we are. There's more power in that phone than any monarch could ever have dreamed of having 400 years ago, right? In 400 years ago, where you had couriers and you had drafty castles and You had chateaus for the rich, and you had to hold carpets against the walls to keep the warmth in from the fireplaces. You had to constantly feed, right? You had to have your retainer bring the fire in at 2 o'clock in the morning, another one coming in at 4 o'clock to keep you and your wife or your family or you and your beloveds warm. And here we have a homeless man who forgets his phone. So we are very, very much better off as humankind. And even in our day, the tyrannies of our day are less. There's less tyrannical evil than in times past. I mean, terrorism is a very minor disturbance on this overall narrative. It is terrorism is a very small problem. Effectively, it's a very, very small problem, and because war is out of date. Read Martin Van Creveld, The Transformation of War, and other books like that from his hand. War has become outdated. And in fact, the nation state has become outdated, and we're trying to unwind them now. And David Tulis, I'm one of your unwinding participants. I want to just tell you briefly about it. This is the third point. We mentioned Chattanooga a moment ago, and city government, and there are three questions facing the city government that I was rehearsing for you here on the David Tulis Show. It's 800-8949, 800-8949 if you want to give me a call. We are arguing that you should love your neighbor and buy local. Brought to you by yournews.com. That's yournews.com. Make sure that you go to the Chattanooga page, and for the moment, you'll have to click the window for local news and see my latest piece. I've got more coming out. I try to shovel a post out every day. The blogger with the biggest pen, David Tulis. That's me, David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen, whose bow ties sometimes are a little frayed, whose jacket cuffs almost always. Don't tell Janelle I said this, okay? They're often very frayed. I'm wearing my favorite jacket, my blue jacket, and the cuffs are frayed, okay? Especially, I'm not sure why, on the left hand. I'm not sure why the cuff on that one is so frayed, but and frayed check won't help, okay? They're frayed. But that's me, David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen. And the city council has three things before it. One is the abusive proposal by our top cop, David Roddy, to criminalize more of the poor, and the personal, private, free speech communications among poor members of society and the less poor who might have a couple of bucks to spare for a hamburger and fries, or maybe a $5, which might end up going into a bottle of relief for one of them. And part two is the Airbnb enforcement mechanism is long in getting on its feet. And we can say this is good. This is good news that Donna Williams and the city government have just now, months after the contract, months after an illegal short-term vacation rental district was created, months later, has just left the contract for the surveillance process to begin and letters to be written to scofflaws and offenders who are renting out their homes, their private homes, to people on the internet. Think about that. People in Chattanooga are on the internet renting out their private homes, inviting people from Qatar, inviting Belgians, Germans, Koreans, maybe an occasional Aussie into Chattanooga to stay privately at their house. An illegal and illicit interaction, according to the city ordinance, right? So this enforcement mechanism is not in place yet. And the screen grabs that this private vendor will be making, maybe of your house, right? Your listing on Airbnb will at some point generate a letter from the mayor's office and asking you about your compliance with the ordinance, because you're outside the district and yet you are within the corporation. You are a shareholder and a taxpayer, liable to and subject to our ordinance. Why are you renting out your house? And why is there a person from Saudi Arabia with his flowing frock there in your parking lot, getting into his rented Mercedes with his family members, and heading on down to the parking lot near the aquarium? Right? They want to see the aquarium. They don't know a lot about fish over there in Saudi Arabia, so they came here to find out what fish are all about. The swordfish and the flat ones, right, that wave at you as they stream past in this world of blue in the aquarium, and so you're not in compliance, but it's good news. Okay, good news. Now the third point on city government is a mind bender. Okay, it's a mind bender, and the number to call is 800-8949, 800-8949. And caller, this is David Tulis. I'm glad you're giving me a ring. What's on your mind? You're on the air. I think we may have a problem with our phone. This has happened before. I can't seem to get people into the board. But just give me a call again. That was my fault. I must have done something wrong. The third point, dealing on... Okay, here we go again. This is David Tulis. Caller, live on the air.
Hello. Yes, this is Thomas. I'm one of your listeners. And
hey, Thomas.
I was going to make a quick comment, if you've got time, about my experience with Airbnb.
Please do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree with you almost 100%. But I had a personal experience. It was a good experience, but I did have a theft that took place at a home that I was staying at, and it was an unusual experience. But the owner of the house after that decided not to rent out rooms. Sometimes it would be more than one person renting out a room. The house had, I think, 4 rooms. But overall, I agree with you. But not everybody that uses Airbnb. Some of the people you need to screen them.
Well, is there not a screening process, Thomas, when you became a member and sort of enrolled in Airbnb, that you get checked, you get rated as well as the provider gets the rating by the other members?
True, but it's pretty easy to sign up. I think sometimes it's just, if I remember right, you can have a Facebook page and you can sign up with that, and then it's not very well verified as far as your particulars for the homeowner. And then when they report the homeowner, they report it because they knew who they think did it. It was a minor theft, but it caused me some inconvenience. But Airbnb initially sounded like they were really concerned about it, we're going to investigate it, but nothing ever came of it. Even though they have a pretty good clue who it was in. So the reliable witness to the theft.
So the theft was by a visitor or by the homeowner?
The homeowner was out of town for a few days, and they brought in another person. And I had stayed there a few days at this residence. They brought in another person to say I left for the day and came back the next day, and it was a vehicle and something that I left my vehicle parked at the house, and it was something on my vehicle that was stolen. It was replaceable, but it cost about $50 to replace. But still, it was just the only bad experience she had with visitors. But she said that normally she is there at the home to meet them when they check in, and that this was the first time she had just done it online without actually meeting the person when they arrived at the residence. So she said in the future she wouldn't do that.
Well, I'm disappointed to hear that this member of Airbnb is backing out just because something was stolen in the parking area, which is to say outside the house, not really in the domicile.
Right.
Past a kid, maybe?
A dead-end street with only a few homes that she knew her neighbors, and there was very little chance that it was anybody other than the previous guest. But there's no proof positive that she ended up putting her house up for rent and rented it for a year to somebody else, and decided that would be easier for her than to go through the hassle of always having to clean the house every week after getting out.
Well, let me...
It was partly because of that, but not exclusively.
Well, thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate it very much. Real quick, what do you make about this district in which some cities in Chattanooga are allowed to have these rentals, but others are forbidden? And the line on that map may divide like homeowners going down the street between two houses.
With regard to Airbnb?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'm here. Go ahead.
I was just saying, is that are you talking about Airbnb? Do I support the mayor's position on that or not?
Well, the city's position is that there's a district in which you can have Airbnb short-term vacation rentals, and then if you're outside the district, you cannot. You're forbidden.
Yeah. No, I don't think that they should be regulating it at all. I believe in the free market, and I think it should be between the homeowner and whoever they want to let rent their home. So
really, thanks very much for calling. We've been talking with Thomas, and the number is 800-8949. That's 800-8949. This is David Tulis. We are at 927, and we argue that you should love your neighbor and buy local. And think about this: if you support the Airbnb economy in Chattanooga, or have the visitors to your business or to your family stay, if they're staying elsewhere at an Airbnb, maybe in your neighborhood, you're supporting the local economy really down to the roots, right? The roots of the local economy are each homeowner, each individual private person making his own way, making his living. And Airbnb brings capital, it brings money, it brings cash flow to someone who owns a property, which is ordinarily a stagnant asset, right? Your house is with Airbnb. You can create with it an income stream. You can, or let's say a cash. I mean, it may not be an income; it may just be cash flow. It may be gross receipts for you. To say it's income would imply it's taxable. I don't really know that would be the case. It might be if you're involved in a revenue taxable activity, but at the very least, it is a cash flow asset, an asset that generates a plus on your ledger at the end of the year, not a minus. Houses generally are dead weight. They cost maintenance. In my house, I've had two bids from the same party some months apart for a new roof, and it's a $9,000 investment. Okay, it's an investment, but really, in my mind, I view it as an expense because the house may sell at a higher dollar number at some point if I leave Saudi Daisy the hilltop there. I may sell it at a so-called profit, but much of that profit is illusory. And then, of course, if I'm selling it, if I'm filing a tax return, I deduct all the expenses that are capital improvements to that property. So a house with a new roof would deduct, if there was a taxable transaction there, you would deduct the cost of the new roof. So it would be $150,000 minus $9,000, which is the price of the new roof, which is my cost and my investment in that property. So I'm taking out my costs to reduce the end number on the liquidation of that property. And so here you have with Airbnb, local economy really at its very best, enabled by the servers at this gigantic entity, which is just a few offices and some servers, and probably a lot of tech people to make it all work. But it is there, letting people get together locally. It is the internet, while it is intergalactic and international and in no place at all. It lets people here in Chattanooga and maybe in your town, if you are just traveling through town here on the highway, heading home or heading to places far off, in your place, in your neck of the woods, the internet allows the generation of capital from these stale and moribund assets that we call houses that now we can make something out of them. In fact, as time goes on, you can rent a 3D printer and have a factory in your garage. That's the future, where every house is a factory making something. And the transportation field is picking up with deliveries every day to all these houses around. And that's something that zoning is just going to be overwhelmed by. Zoning is, of course, passe. Zoning is an anti-market claim. And the whole Airbnb district is the defense, indirect defense of the old zoning claim of the city corporation on private property holders. David Tulis, the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. I want to hear from you.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on